Ah, ok, te estábamos esperando, pero van a empezar la música,
Hey,
¿ok?
Fernando. I'm
Ok,
from Bogotá,
chao.
Colombia,
Ok.
and
¿Tienes algún problema?
member of the CSM alumni. Who would have believed it?
No, no, no.
Yesterday, I was
El email que te mandó, hay un lugar que
just
solo
graduated. I mean, I haven't graduated because of the COVID, but
es lo único que
uh,
quería saber.
I finished my
Hay
studies at
un último
CSM
email de
last
Alumni,
semester in spring,
uno de los últimos,
and I
y
only have
dice, you
words of
wanna join the
gratitude
meeting, click here.
for this whole
Just
experience.
click there.
It
Te
has been
conectas. ¿Ok?
uh,
Ok,
an
me llamas
honor,
si tienes
an
problema.
honor, a pleasure. It has
Ok.
been great. It's one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life. And I only have words of gratitude to all the people at the International Student Center, the Global Center, to Aubrey, Silvana, and all the staff over there. They were super helpful during my stay there and super kind people. They're really, really, really nice. So I'm just feel proud of be part of this institution now. Just to share a little bit about me, I studied electronic music production and also digital media. And as part of that, I was able to have an internship, OPT, here at CSM. So I'm currently doing that um, as an instructional aide. So it's been a great experience. I'm enjoying it, even though I'm not, we are not in campus, but trying to do my best helping all the professors on a day by day basis. So thank you very much for having me. And I just have a couple of songs for you guys. Hope you like it. I know that the theme is kind of 70s. So I was just thinking about this. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's no warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's only gone too long. Anytime she goes away. Won't Destana when she's gone. Wonder if she's going to stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just said no home. Anytime she goes away. I know, 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 I know. I ought to leave my young think a lot. This ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. And this house just said no home. Anytime she goes away. Cumbia! Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Din, da, 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 la, la. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just said no home. Anytime she goes away. Wonder distant when she's gone. Wonder if she's got to stay.
Okay, Aubrey, are we ready? Okay, so let me just start off by introducing myself. My name is Lizette Bricker, and I am the Acting Vice President of Student Services at College of San Mateo. I wanted to just welcome our panelists here today, as well as our guests that are here to listen to our panelists. Today's, panel theme is how, CSM shaped us in terms of, our international students. And, I think that this time for us to come together is so important, to honor students who have gone through our international education student program and acknowledge their experience here and really just try to learn from their experience and welcome them into this current experience of being remote and being, on a Zoom call. We would have loved to have been in person to share this experience with you. But we're just so grateful that people took the time this evening to come together to talk about international education. I think more important than any time, it's really important for us to gather, for us to connect, and to support one another in this remote environment. So I want to, as the acting vice president of CSM, I just want to welcome all of you and thank you to both the panelists and the folks that have joined us tonight. So welcome and enjoy today's panel presentation.
Thank you, Lizette. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is really happening. I know we have been talking about this. We have been sharing about this information for how long now? For like 5-6 months, huh? When I got a call from the NCMPLR back in March, they informed me that the first CSM alumni reunion is happening. So we're just so excited. We start talking about it, start thinking about where we're gonna have it, and COVID hit. So over the past few months, we have been talking and the groups inside grew and grew and grew and bigger. This is really the first time we're so happy we have the opportunity to invite them back. Even though it's a virtual environment, we're still so excited to hear about their experience at CSM and also how much they actually have grown over the years. Even though I keep on telling them they have not changed a bit, they still look the same like the pictures, right? So that's all what I have to say. I want to welcome all of you to join us today. And I also want to introduce our moderator, who is also a CSM alumni, who is going to be moderate for today's discussion. And I'm gonna invite Mandana to join us. Give me 1 second, let me share the screen.
All right, hello everyone. It's great to be here on such a really inspiring and amazing night. I'm so excited to hear from some of our fantastic panelists that we have lined up for you all. They were at CSM during some really exciting times, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from them about it. We have a couple of questions for them lined up, so I'm going to go through and ask them those questions, and they are free to answer. All right, so the first question we have up for you tonight is, each of you come from such really interesting, diverse backgrounds. Please tell us about yourselves and what made you choose to enroll at CSM?
Is it me? Is it me, Nancy?
Yeah, Nancy, you're
I
welcome.
can go first.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank all the panelists. They are my family, and I'm so happy to be with them. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, and my journey has started into the American culture when I was a senior in high school. I had an internship with the American Embassy, and I was working for a group of scientists who were dealing with research on plant diseases affecting the crops of the Peruvian Andes. First of all, I was thrilled to travel to the field with them and to get to see so many of the cities in my country that otherwise I would have never had the opportunity. And also to learn firsthand what it meant, and it still does, for the Indian farmers to work under very strenuous and precarious conditions. I saw this opportunity because it opened up my eyes to a different reality for me living in the capital and realizing that the importance of having safe roads and storage facilities for the produce that I and my family bought at the supermarkets was not a reality yet. So hence upon graduation from high school, I decided to apply for a scholarship. And I did through the International Institute of Education, which was an arm of the Fulbright Commission in Peru. And I applied for the scholarship, and bingo, I got accepted at CSM. And my major was traffic and transportation. That was it.
Thank you, Nancy. That was great. Pilar, did you
Well,
want to?
thank you. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you and Aubrey for all your support. Nancy and I started thinking about having a party and dancing and inviting all the foreign students from all over the world to come. And the pandemic started, COVID came, yeah. So we'll probably do it next week, next year, I mean.
I could do it tonight.
Well, I was born and raised in Bogota, Colombia, and I was very fortunate to do all my high school in English at an American high school in Bogota, and I always really dreamed to follow the culture of my family to study abroad. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend university in Colombia since I had planned to travel to Germany, but my father got sick. Anyway, long story. I ended up teaching at a little third grade elementary school, and I needed to take a test and to get a certificate for proficiency in English. And I went to El Colombo Americano and read about this institution called ICETEX, offering scholarships at CSM in California. I knew that studying in the United States is really a unparalleled opportunity for personal growth. And I always looked forward to being exposed to many different cultures and ways of thinking. I knew that in California, a multi-ethnic group, it would be beautiful to attend the College of San Mateo. I did a little research trying to find San Mateo, which was in no little map, no map. I had an uncle who was at Stanford, and he traveled to San Mateo and told me where San Mateo was. And I was very, very fortunate to be accepted at CSM. We know in Latin America that the United States really offers great opportunities in science, technology, and the medical field. I've always been interested in medicine, in the medical field. And at CSM, I did medical assisting, which at that time was a 2-year program. And we learned a lot: anatomy, physiology, medical terminology, transcription. It was an excellent program. I am so very grateful, and I feel very honored that I was accepted at CSM, where I was actually able to overcome most of the most common challenges any foreign student suffers, which of course is being homesick, some cultural shock, feeling somewhat lonely. Thanks to the amazing foreign student group at CSM. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank and remember the amazing legend that Mr. Howard Durham and Mrs. Ruth Smith did. They provided us so much support and solidarity to students from all over the world. They were like our parents, and I want to take this opportunity to remember them and thank them. Thank you.
Thank you, Pilar. So moving on to our next question. What was your experience like at CSM? Nancy or Fernando, would one of you like to let us know?
Has Fernando logged in? He was having some difficulty
Yeah,
getting in.
I saw him. He
was
was
on,
in.
He was on.
Well, I can get started. Just like Pilar, attending CSM was an unforgettable experience. Academically, it was really the foundation for me in pursuing my career goals. And I will talk about them later. On the personal side, Pilar and I became sisters, so to speak. And together we were able to survive the cultural shock that we face. And by that, I mean learning a new way of life in the American system. The academic expectations were different. The structures were different from what we had experienced before. Socializing was also different. You know, we came here when it was a hippie movement and we were kind of, you know, looking at it from a totally different perspective, and it was a little bit scary and intimidating, but we managed to survive that. For me, it was learning the idiomatic expressions because we have learned the formal English in our countries. But when somebody told me, you know, you're pulling my leg, I look around and I said, I haven't even touched you, you know, things like that. So it was like, you know, how do we deal with this? So we had to integrate into this culture. Sometimes it was very difficult to understand some of the lectures. And for me, was mainly trying to write in English the way I thought in Spanish, which made it very difficult because we had to, you know, start from the end to the back and the forth. So it was a challenge that. However, we had strong support from the professors, the teachers, the counselors, the administrative staff, and Mr. Durham and Ms. Ruth Smith. They were so generous with your time and your support in listening and caring. We also had wonderful host families because the program at that time was very different. It is not like it is today at CSM. We were sponsored by families and we moved in with them for a period of time. And some of us decided to stay with them. Some of us decided to go on our own and rent our own apartment or room where to live. I was very lucky. I landed with a lady that was 80 years old and she was like my grandmother. And she would bring me coffee and Danish every morning before going to school. So I was in heaven. You know, being a foreign student was not easy for us. We didn't have the high technology that international students have today. So a letter will take about 2 to 3 weeks to get to us. And we were just kind of sitting at the edge of our chairs waiting for it. We missed a lot of our foods and there was no ethnic stores near around us. So we depended pretty much on somebody coming back from home, bringing some of the goodies. And when that happened, we kind of threw a party and everybody enjoyed it, everybody shared. It was really great. Or we just had to wait for the mail person to show up with a little package that our parents or our family were sending in. So homesickness became kind of a common denominator for most of us. We created a fun, living, caring bond that today is still very strong. You know, after 50 years, it is deep in our hearts. And I call Pilar my soul sister. And, you know, we've been through thick and thin and, you know, so much stuff. But with the other students, we also had like picnics, trips to the beach, night outings. You know, we remember Tia Maria, that was a nice restaurant where everybody went to listen to Latin music and dance, concerts, cooking, studying. We had good cries, definitely. We had very good cries because we miss our family, but we also laughed a lot. This group became our family away from home, and it still does. Even though some of us decided to stay in the States, some of us went back to our places where we came from, we're still in touch. And the high technology has made it so easy for us to keep in touch. and we learn from each other. We leverage our differences, we leverage our strengths, we leverage our weaknesses. In spite of being far away, we're still in touch with everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear. So given the times that you are all here at CSM, I'm curious to know, were there any social, political, or hot topics during your time at CSM that were challenging or noteworthy to you?
Yes, if I may speak to that.
Please.
So my name is Roger, and actually, my name, I went through a name change. I came here in 1963, but it was a little different journey for me. So I was the first class, actually 63 to 65, at the brand new campus at the College Heights. And I don't know if anyone is watching now, any current students, but the previous campus was at Coyote Point, where the Coyote Point Museum is in San Mateo currently. So when I started my classes, actually it was in October. It was delayed. The opening was delayed a couple of weeks because we had no parking lots. The parking lots were still being bulldozed. There was construction equipment, and there was noise and dust. But I came, I became a student there because my parents decided to move. We came as refugees. My father was from Egypt, and my mother was from Lebanon. So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon. And at the age of 17, I had two younger brothers. So my parents, my dad obtained a refugee visa, and we came and we were sponsored by my uncle who lived in San Mateo at the time. My dad's youngest brother. We needed to have a sponsor here to get us started. So we lived with him for a couple of weeks, and that was July 1963. I had to go around, knock on doors, get a part-time job, to help my family, just to be independent. And I really didn't have any friends besides my uncle and his wife, and they had no children then. And my two younger brothers, my mom and I. So we were kind of on our own. We had family back east on the East Coast, but nobody in the West Coast then. So it was kind of rough. I was looking for a job. I got a job at the airport, and I started the semester, as I said, in October because of construction delays. And my eyes were just wide open. It was a completely different experience of what I had known growing up in Beirut, Lebanon. And it was the time when not too many people then knew the history of the rest of the world. It wasn't unlike today, where we have satellite news, we have cable networks, and we have so much communication, so much social media. The Middle East then to a lot of people was a mystery. It was a mystery. A lot of people thought that Lebanon was near Vietnam, next door to Vietnam, because that's when the Vietnamese crisis started. And a lot of people were curious about my background. So I was very pleased to get connected to people that wanted to know where I was from, about my background. And I met, at that time, there were about 100 international students at CSM. So my counselor, my advisor was Mr. Durham, who took care of the students then. And Ms. Smith was his assistant. And we had actually, there was an international relations club that had started a few years before I arrived. And they were all the students, about 100 students that were meeting once a week. So that's the first club I joined. That was my first group. So I felt at home with international students from all over the world. And I actually became the vice president of the club for a couple of years. And so my connection then got a little wider. I got a little more familiar with the culture, more comfortable. And CSM actually left quite a mark on me because it was my first family in the United States. It was my first extended family. I was the first of 26 first cousins on my mom's side. in Lebanon. So I had lots of relatives, lots of cousins and aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa. So I grew up in a large family. I came here and I was alone. So CSM became my family, became my home. And I spent 2 years at CSM, 5 semesters at CSM, 2.5 years. I transferred to San Francisco State. And, but I kept coming back to CSM. I kept coming back even after I graduated. I'd go to work. I had a couple of part-time jobs. Whatever spare time I had, I'd go back to CSM because a lot of the friends that I met came a year later or maybe a couple of years later. And then I met the panel that's right here in front of us this evening. I met them all. They became, like Nancy and Pilar said, they became like my family. And so many things happened during that time. One thing I remember vividly at that time, an event that shook the world and shook the United States for sure. I was having lunch at the cafeteria then, the old cafeteria. And there was probably about, I'd say maybe 600-700 students maybe having lunch, and the place was buzzing with noise and, you know, cracking dishes and the plates and silverware and people talking and singing, you know, and having fun, groups of people, you know, from different countries together. And all of a sudden, the PA system came on, and we heard an announcement. It said, President Kennedy has just been shot. And the place just quieted down, like you could drop a pin in the cafeteria full of people, and you could hear the pin drop. And then we all ran towards a little adjacent lounge where they had an old black and white TV. And then we witnessed the tragedy of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And then about half an hour later, they told us that he was dead. So that was one of the first events that happened when I was there. And after my transfer to SF State, I kept coming back, and I remain to this day friends with I know everyone on the panel. I became, you know, I became family. They became my family, and here we are today. So I was very blessed to be part of the community. CSM really helped me get started along the journey in the United States.
That is amazing. What a time to be here in the US. Okay.
I'm very sorry to interrupt a little bit. I'm getting texts and messages from other students that wanted to join. Aubrey, Ivan Quinones is trying to get in, but he can't. So I don't know if we can help or it's too late. Is it too late?
Does he have the link to the Zoom meeting?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling him. If he can do, I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Thank you so much. So moving on to a little bit of a lighthearted question. What were your favorite classes at CSM, and what were your least favorite classes? Maybe Gonzalo, did you want to maybe tell us about your experience?
Am I on now? Am I on?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's so refreshing to hear all these stories, such wonderful memories from everybody. And yes, I think one definite theme is that we were family. We were in such cultural shock and so far away from our own worlds, and to find this wonderful welcome by the administration and the system they had set up for us to be with families. It was just amazing. So it's I don't want to get away from the questions, but yes, and already Pilar mentioned one of the people that was very, 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 very important at the time is Mr. Howard Durham, and who was the director for students at the time. And his assistant, Ruth Smith, who did wonderful things for us. Mr. Durham is the first man that I heard not to be afraid of a change of different things, because at that time, the country was fighting a war against communism in Vietnam, but all over the world. I mean, that communism was a bad word, socialism was a bad word. And he was a teacher of economics and a wonderful teacher. Actually, I came to study data processing. I didn't even know what that was. When I found out what that was, I don't know if I belong here or not. And then, I took his class in economics, and that was a wonderful class. He made economics very clear, very interesting, and not all this thing about, numbers and money, but something beyond. And one thing that really caught my attention is, they call Sweden and Norway socialist and bad countries. And I was there during the war, he said. And right after the war, a few years later, all the slums had been erased and people had been given decent apartments to live in, and they had nice social programs in place. And I said, oh my God, this is very good. So that was one class that made a big impression on me. Amanda made a big impression on me. And then there was Mr. Beers, professor of English. And, like Pilar and Nancy, we had studied English, and I thought my English was pretty good. And I took his class and I kept getting Fs. And I said, what's the matter? I mean, I know English. What's going on?
Is this the new A?
And then he said, well, you know what, I mean, you have something good there, but you have to try harder. You have to put that, and then I ended up getting an A in the course at the end, and he became a very good friend. And actually reminded me later on of Ambrose Bierce. I don't know if you're familiar with the writer in the Devil's Dictionary, who apparently died in Mexico, and nobody knew why. They think he died in the fighting for the revolution. All the revolutionaries killed him. Nobody knows that. So that was a very good influence. And actually that set the structure for me to do much better in the other courses too, and I learned how to express myself in writing in English, and I'm very grateful for that. And then there's also, I don't remember his name, but there was a very funny, very, very, very nice man that taught biology. And that was the first time I was introduced to the concept of ecology. And this guy brought in, I don't know if you remember Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, where for the first time, the ecological deluge that we're suffering today was announced for the first time in a book and in a concise manner, and it became very public. So not only he explained about the concept of ecology, he made the natural sciences and biology fun. And, very interesting too. I learned a lot about rock. I was not too interested in rock, and I was sort of one weird guy, very conservative. And most of my friends loved the Beatles and all these rock groups. And I did, what do they see in these guys? And there were a couple of girls there that were in the class, very good looking and very lively, always teasing the professor. And he made a comment about rock one time and said, well, I don't think you know what rock is all about, Professor, they said. So, well, why don't you, give us some, next slide, you come and tell us what rock is all about. These two women did such a great job that he became a convert, and so did I. So that was a really good introduction to the culture. And then there was I forgot her name also, I'm sorry, it was a speech class. And speech class, of course, we had to make a speech in every class, and that's where I got to know all my friends from, all of the students were from other parts of the world. And that's when you got into the world of other countries, like you have mentioned before, all this open universe, how different the country were. Vietnam is not close to Lebanon. We started to learn things about the world. And that was so important to know how people had come to the country, why they had come, and how life was like in their countries. And then about the one that I didn't like it's not that I didn't, well, I liked the professor. his name I remember, Dr. Billiter. And he was teaching data processing. As I said, I didn't even know what that was about. And then I came in, we were in a computer room. At that time, the computers were huge. You had to punch cards, you had to collate them. You had to wear a jacket, like a doctor in the lab. And that's how he gave the class. And I didn't like that class. And I said, what am I doing here? Because I finished, but then I started veering toward economics. Then in economics, I had to take a class that I already had taken in Colombia, accounting. I said, oh man, why do they do this to you? The homeworks, it took the whole weekend. So that was my experience in terms of that. But the professors were excellent. When I transferred to San Francisco State, I really found out what depth and dedication they had and how well prepared I was to tackle on the second part of my education.
I would like to tell you about my memories in CSM. I just couldn't get in because I couldn't get the mic on. But now I am. I would like to say hello to everyone. I would like to let you know how I got into CSM. My brother Gonzalo was already attending San Francisco State College then, now it's a state university. So he went back home during the summer vacation. So he got me into the idea of coming into San Mateo College to attend school in California. So I got very excited, and we talked to our parents and they agreed to do that. So I was lucky enough to have Gonzalo attending CSM already. That made things very easier. I mean, much easier than than most of other guys that went to school with us. But I would like to say first, first of all, I would like to say that I will be always grateful to the community of San Mateo and to all the directors and assistants to the International Students Program. I was very happy to have the opportunity of attending an American college, especially located in California and near to San Francisco, which is, was and all the beautiful Bay Area and all the surrounding places of the city. I had a great time. I had the privilege of enjoying their citizens' generosity, their hospitality, and all the social movements that took place during the 70s, the hippie movement, as Nancy mentioned it, the peaceful message of, that came with it, the women's liberations movement that really made a change in women's social role up to now. I also, having a chance to take different, so many different elective courses, besides the one concerning our major courses, was definitely enriched our lives, or at least my life, in order to prepare and project ourselves as future professionals. That definitely gave me a very wide horizon of what I wanted to do. So,
I think we lost.
What happened to
Fernando.
Fernando?
I think we lost him.
Oh, can you hear me?
Aubrey, Fernando,
now,
oh, there he is.
There he is.
guys,
He's in the mountains in
no, ya lo
Colombia.
arreglé,
There he is. Hola, Fernando.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Hey, nice to see everyone. Hi, Aubrey and Mondana. Thanks for this opportunity. It's been a great experience. Roger, it's very nice to see
Hi.
you again.
Nice to see
Last
you
time I
too.
saw you was like 3 or 4 years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, Gonzalo, I see him more than okay. But I want to take this opportunity to thank my brother and his wife for giving me the opportunity of to live with them for the last 2 years while I attended Golden Gate University. I want to tell you that I didn't get a degree from CSM. I just transferred directly to San Francisco State. I went there, attended San Francisco for 1 year. Then my father got sick. So I decided to come back home to see him in case he was going to die. So I stayed here 1 year and I went back and I got enrolled into Golden Gate University. They had a special program for 3 semesters in a year. So that gave me the opportunity of recover one, quoted semester, lost semester. So I finally graduated from Golden Gate University. And it was a very interesting experience. It was a school specialized in law and business management. So that's what I did for the rest of my professional life. So I wanna, I think that's what I wanted to say. Thank you again.
So much, Fernando. We will be hearing from our panelists soon again after we take a brief 5-minute intermission break. Please join us and we will see you back here at 6:20 for more Q&A with our panelists. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hola, ¿qué dice que nos salgamos?
No. You
Oh.
have to just stay.
Esperemos
So,
15 minutos. Dijo 15 minutos, que esperáramos 15 minutos.
Quiero, lo digo como un lamento, como un quejido que el viento se lleva por donde quiera. Te quiero, qué pena haberte perdido, como quien pierde una estrella que se eleva el infinito. Quiero que se oiga mi llanto, como me dolió perderla después de quererla tanto. Después de quererla tanto, Diosito, dame consuelo para sacarme de adentro esto que me está matando allá, allá. Quiero, lo digo como un lamento, como un quejido que el viento se lleva por donde quiera. Te quiero, qué pena haberte perdido, como quien pierde una estrella que se eleva el infinito. Quiero que se oiga mi llanto, como me dolió perderte después de quererte tanto. Ay, después de quererte tanto, Diosito, dame consuelo para sacarme de adentro esto que me está matando, ay, ay, ay. Te quiero.
All right, welcome back, everyone. That was a musical performance by Nestor Carvalho. He is one of our lovely CSM students. We have a little bit about his bio up on the screen, as well as the name of the song and the original artist. Very beautiful stylings. All right, so some more Q&A questions for us. Now, this is a really special question. Is there something that you will always remember from your time at CSM? Fernando?
I mean, is that for Fernando or for anybody?
Any of you are welcome to take it.
Okay, well, I can start doing that. You know, there's so many wonderful memories, but I said before, it was the impression that we got there. I mean, Dr. Bortolazzo was there to welcome us in person with, with the administrative people that he had then and members of the community. And that then is when we learned how we were going to be living in houses with families, and we're going to be part of the community. And it worked so wonderfully. I mean, there were, a few cases, like everything happens. But in my case, I got in with a wonderful family, and they became almost like my family in the US. And then the two families got together. I had the opportunity to travel with our family to Colombia, and they got along very well with my own family in Colombia, and they came here to visit them also. And it was just wonderful. It was just like I had two families in that sense. So I'm very grateful for that. And then the ambience in the community, every time you said you were a foreign student from San Mateo, it's like doors open and people, they just welcomed you. There were a lot of, there were a few of foreign students that were already working, and they became a network for all of us to get jobs. So all you had to do is go to this and go to that. And then we got jobs at Sears, at restaurants, at, stores, and I don't know if it still exists, Hillsdale Shopping Center. Oh my God, that was a hub of students at break time. It's like all CSM was there, not only the foreign students, but other students as well. So those are very, very, very wonderful moments. And then Ruth Smith, her house was just like you could go there when you were sad, when you were happy, and you were always welcome. And someone couldn't find a place to sleep, well, you ended up there. And she and her husband, Wayne, they were just wonderful people that welcomed us all the time, yeah. So Nancy or someone mentioned the cafeteria, or maybe it was Roger, when John Kennedy was killed. And that cafeteria holds a very special, place in my memory. After the classes, well, before and after the classes, and sometimes during classes, because there's a movement all the time, that was the place where we really got our education. That's when we really got to talk to our, foreign students, the US students, and we learned about the cultures from other parts of the world. And then, traumatic events also, like there were discussions galore because the war in Vietnam was on. There was a hippie movement in full fledged. The civil rights movement was there. We had the International Student Club, and we invited Eldridge Cleaver to speak on campus, and he came. And that was almost a riot. It was unheard of in a very conservative community, and that's how daring we became. Because we thought that the world was ours then. So that was very, 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 very. It was a very great experience. And then the Israeli and Palestinian conflict was at its height also. We had the 6-day war there, and we saw some of our student friends go out to fight the war and come back. And they came back, and then we learned, sort of the hard way, because some of them didn't come back, because they had been killed or maimed during the war, and they didn't come back. And then we learned another hard reality. So our comprehension of the world really was great. I cannot think of any moment in my life or anybody's life where such an opportunity existed for you to understand the world, to the point that most countries I go to today, I have someone that I went to school with in San Mateo or related to San Mateo, and I have friends all over the world. And I have used that, very, very, very openly also. So those are recollections. And that cafeteria was like a hub of knowledge, and also a little bit of radicalism, because there was, the country was beginning to change. The country was not, even 2 years later, or a year and a half into being there, the country was not so conservative. There was a civil rights, movement going on. There was the hippie movement that was wonderful, and then there was a war in Vietnam that started changing things. And then to top it off, May '68 came, and we were there. And May '68 changed the way politics and social mores, it changed the way they were for a different way. Sexual revolution, all kinds of things happened. So those are memorable experiences. It was a new world altogether. And one anecdote: when I just got in, the hippies were starting, so we got to know Haight-Ashbury and Berkeley. But I had an initiation to that was a little bit dramatic. I was called into the foreign students office, and I was asked by the directors at the time, or the people in the administration, to try to go and talk to one of my fellow Colombians. I was, going, and he was going astray. He was going, he was becoming a hippie, and he was living in Haight-Ashbury, and school didn't didn't quite understand that. So they asked me to go and talk to him to bring him back to the fold. And he almost brings me back into his fold. So I came back and told him, well, I'm sorry, but I think Andres, won't say his last name. I think Andres is fine where he is, and we should respect that, you know. Even at that early age, I was, I guess, mature enough to understand that this was serious for him and for everybody. So those are my experiences, or some of my experiences there.
I can add one more story to kind of chime in on what Gonzalo said. So I think one of the best experience I had meeting someone at the College of San Mateo was a fellow student who actually came from Israel. So as I told you, I was born in Lebanon, Egyptian father. And as Gonzalo mentioned, the Arab-Israeli conflict, the 1967 wars, there was a buildup. There's always tension in the Middle East. In fact, there's tension today, probably more tension as we speak. But so I got to know this friend. His name was David, fellow student name was David Mayer. And David actually was born in Israel. He came here, he was a little older than I am. He had served actually as an officer in the Israeli army. And somehow I met him, and then we actually started carpooling together because he also transferred at the same time. He transferred to San Francisco State. So him and we used to carpool. And, you know, when I was growing up in Lebanon, you know, being a child of the environment, we used to go out and demonstrate, you know, anytime they had any anniversary that had captured the suffering of the Palestinian people. There were Palestinian refugees in Lebanon that had, left Israel since 1948 and afterwards. So I thought that Israelis were terrible people. You know, I would never talk to anyone or know anyone. But as David and I, just to make a long story short, became friends, and we were commuting together or carpooling, we started talking. I remember the first discussion were kind of heated a little bit, you know, we're kind of angry at each other. But then I got to know him as a human being, and he was a real nice person. I said, look, you know, I told myself, I can't just judge, I can't be judgmental with people. You know, once you get to know people, then all the other obstacles, all the other barriers just go aside. And it taught me a lesson that you really have to know people. You can't just judge people by their political orientation or by where they're from. So that kind of opened up my eyes as a young, 18, 19-year-old student who was very much subjective in my views. So that was a good experience for me.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for sharing those experiences. I believe we have time for maybe one more question. Aubrey, is that right? From the audience. Oh, doesn't look like we have one, but I have one if if there are none. Any takers?
What is your question,
All right, so I'm very curious to know, we've covered your experiences at CSM and a little bit before. What was your experience like leaving CSM afterward?
You mean leaving to transfer somewhere else, or?
Yeah, if it's transferring, if you want to talk maybe even about graduating from there and moving on to the job market.
Well, you know, I left CSM to go to San Francisco State, but I lived in San Mateo. So it's like I never left. So I went on to go and I got my degree in economics and BA in economics at San Mateo, and then, at San Francisco State. And then I moved to, then I went to study at San Jose State. But most of the time, I still lived either Burlingame with a family, the great family that was assigned and became my family in there, or I even rented a house with with my brother and another friend from Colombia, and we lived there together. But I really never left CSM because I saw them every weekend, and but I said before, but I left CSM when I graduated it was with the conviction that I could do everything because I was so prepared. I mean, I had received such good education that I was ready to take on whatever I wanted to become. And I went on and I finished my study. I got married, woman from US. And then one time we decided to go to Colombia, and we went and we lived there for many years. And then about 34 years ago, Monday, we came back. And because our children were big already and they needed, they wanted to come and study. They were born here, so they wanted to study here. So CSM got, with the opening of the world and the education that I received, I went on and I had a very, I went to work with the planning department in Colombia, which is what I wanted to do. I did that for 10 years. And then I came back to the US and I started teaching at junior colleges and community colleges. I taught economics. And then I started, at that time, there was the Asia Pacific region was becoming very important. We're talking about 1980s, and so they called it the Pacific Rim then. And I said, I want to get to know that part of the world. So I started my doctorate in international economic relations. I never finished it because a year into it, I was offered a job in the local bureaucracy. So I became one of the directors of the water department, which I never been, I know the water. I actually wanted to be an engineer a long time ago, but I never went to that field. And then I progressed there and finally retired from the water department. I mean, from the city, and made my way up until I became the director of the Office of International Trade and Technology. And that was my last job there. And that's when I retired. So it was the foundation that I got at CSM really helped me along and opened up roads for me. And I'm always grateful and very cognizant that that was where it all started.
Very good.
That was a beautiful closing. I want to thank all of our panelists for being here tonight and for sharing this piece of themselves. It's been so great to hear about your experiences and a real honor to moderate this panel. I'm going to turn it over at this point to Aubrey. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mondana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mondana.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dana.
Yay, can you see my screen? I want to show your name one more time so the audience can see who you are. Yes?
Yeah, we can see. I can see it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to thank you all, Pilar, Nancy, Roger, Fernando, Gonzalo. This is our first event, 50 years in the making, right? So this is definitely not going to be the last one. I would say this is only the first one. So more to come. I want to thank you all. 1 hour just flew by like that. We definitely, right? We definitely have to do another one soon. But I know that we have been talking about having the real party once we're going back to college. So we'll have to start planning. So thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
It was wonderful to see you all, and thank you for putting this together.
Thank you,
Yes.
Nancy. Pilar.
Yay.
Thank you,
Yeah, we did it. We did
Bravo.
it. Yay.
party time next time. Party.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks.
This was just a little rehearsal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you, Aubrey, for all the
Thank you, Aubrey.
all the
Thank
support
you.
and beautiful
Thank you, Aubrey,
enthusiasm
Pilar,
you put into this.
and Nancy.
Oh no, thank you all for joining. Right,
My pleasure.
Nancy? Yay!
Yay.